Welcome back, everybody, to week number 8 of the Quake Pro League, where for EU and CIS, at least, we have got our final match of the day, and boy, is it a doozy. It's going to be vengeurR, it's going to be Coollerz. What are we expecting from this one?
I mean, I think this is the highlight of the day for most people. This is going to be an amazing match because both of them are basically topping the scoreboard right behind Coollerz for the EU and CIS side. And it's also just a wonderful storyline that's been developing because it almost seems like we're getting a little bit of a love triangle here, with always Coollerz being the one to beat Coollerz, and then vengeurR being the one to beat Coollerz. So now we're for the first time since QuakeCon going to see how vengeurR stacks up against Coollerz. If Coollerz beats him, we've got a perfect triangle of everyone beating the other guy. But if vengeurR manages to take him down, he would really solidify himself as the top contender for the EU scene right now.
But that's just what I think, vengeurR. Let's have a chat about this guy for the 10 millionth time. And for good reason. Fundamentally, he is absolutely the personification of just the young blood that has grown up with Quake. Quake Champions is his breakout performance, and he's just going from strength to strength. I feel like even if you were to talk to vengeurR and say, would you ever have believed, as a young Quaker, that one day you'd be playing the premier Quake game at the time, you're going up against the likes of Coollerz and Coollerz and, all of these top-level players, and you're reigning supreme above all of them? He'd probably never have believed you.
Oh, yeah. And I actually talked to him not too long ago, and I asked him a few questions about the shape that he was in and how he was feeling about his matchup today. And when I asked him about how he was looking at going up against Coollerz, he said that he had never felt better. So he is absolutely in a top shape. He's feeling killer, and I think that probably has a little something to do with the fact that Luca, the next major Quake tournament coming up, is taking place in his homeland of Italy. So he can play in front of a familiar crowd, and he can be the Italian hero.
But the kind of player I think it would just take any crowd advantage or bias of an audience and just disregard it? It's going to be someone like Coollerz. This guy is... there's just a level of composure he brings to LAN, and not even LAN, just tournament, right? That is very inspiring. He very rarely seems to get affected too much by things. He's just super efficient, and he's one of the most famous Quake players for that reason. He's very well composed. Skill is right up there as well, isn't it? It's only player that could stop him at QuakeCon was Coollerz, and that was by all accounts the only player that could stop him, really.
Yeah. And I mean, you can really tell when you meet Coollerz at LAN, he is so focused. He is there for one reason and one reason alone, and that is to win and take down as many people as he possibly can. So he's absolutely no one to underestimate. And like you just said, if you look back at the round-robin stage of QuakeCon, Coollerz at the end of 3 full days of every player playing literally every single other pro in the world, Coollerz was on top by a pretty significant margin as well. So he's absolutely a top contender in the Quake Pro League.
The cool thing about the matchup that we're about to see is essentially the fact that both of these players are likely going into this matchup with a ton of confidence. vengeurR is confident because of how recently he's been, how well he's been playing as of late, and how the results he's having at the moment are, without doubt, the best results he's ever had in Quake Champions. And I guess you can only hope that he can maintain that consistency going into Luca. It would be great to see him get a fantastic result there too. But Coollerz is one of the players you would expect that he's not going to pay any attention to the fact that, vengeurR's undefeated. He's not going to be intimidated because that's just not Coollerz. Coollerz doesn't get intimidated.
And I think also perhaps something additionally working in vengeurR's favor is that the last time they played was at QuakeCon, and other than that they really haven't gone face-to-face in a major LAN before, and Coollerz beat him 2-0 at QuakeCon. And many people really agreed that at the end vengeurR put up a bit of a disappointing performance at QuakeCon. He himself said that too, but he's really turned that right back around, so this is his chance for revenge. He can stick it to Coollerz this time around after going down 0-2 against him before. Now he finally has the opportunity to turn the tables.
So let's have a look at the map vetoes. We can see what's been selected here, starting off with Awoken. We've pretty much not seen Awoken at all. It definitely seems like more of an American map at this stage. But it is going to be vengeurR. We're going in with the Doomslayer, Coollerz with the Galena, Corrupted Keep up next, Visor and BJ with the Clutch removed, and then finally Vale of Pnath, Sorlag and Nyx. There's just something about Nyx that you just seem to see so many of the CIS players use, right? I feel like it's been that way since the very beginning. But yeah, a nice display of maps, different styles, but you know what? Very, very small, all 3 of them.
Yeah, sure thing. I was about to point the exact same thing.
Sorry to steal your thunder.
Yeah, really. Awoken, Keep, and Vale. They're probably the 3 smallest maps that we have in the pool right now. And first off will, of course, be Awoken. vengeurR playing the Doomslayer, very strong champion on that map, because as we talked about earlier, that double jump gives you so much mobility to get anywhere you want so quickly. And Coollerz going with the Galena. You can use, of course, Galena's totems to booby trap D. Of course, there's several bounce pads, as well as a very important teleporter in your center of the map. So the deployables, as people sometimes call them, can definitely be used to great extent here.
Now, I'm going to just, to be honest, mention it already. I know we're about to come out of the vetoes anyway, but something I'd really like to sort of pick your brains about. Predictions here. What do we think?
Why do I always have to go first? How about you go first this time?
Because it feels weird being the one that asks the questions, but then says, I'm going to speak first. But since you asked,
yeah, please do.
I think, I feel like, although I definitely think 2-1 for sure, this has the highest chance of the day of being close. I think vengeurR. I feel like his form has been super, super top-notch in QPL, and just on the fact that it would just be nice to see him remain undefeated to give us the best possible, like, hometown hero story for LAN.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him win this 2-1, and I think he definitely can do it.
And I'm gonna follow your prediction. I would also say 2-1 for vengeurR, as we're getting into Awoken, and vengeurR immediately dishing out a fair bit of damage with that long-range plasma, the heavy nail gun in other words, and he already secures himself pretty much all of the major weapons. He still just needs to get a railgun. Coollerz watching over that one though.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason there's been a totem put down near railgun, that's for sure.
Yep.
The rail on this map is so deceiving at times. A little bit of entry damage thanks to the LG. vengeurR has been allowed, actually going to forego it to go down for the chase. And he's going to get a frag for it as well. I wonder if Coollerz was just super confident he was going to try and take a rail, and maybe it would have given him the time to escape, but vengeurR not interested at all. But now he's in a pretty tricky position going in for the armor, but that rocket! Yeah. What a turnaround, and this could be another frag for sure.
Oh, and another one indeed. And I also think that first frag, vengeurR made a very confident decision to go off the bounce pad just because he knew that Coollerz didn't have a lightning gun. He knew that his opponent had not been able to get to that side of the map just yet, so he could almost certainly take that fight. And look at that, these rockets are stellar! vengeurR, the aim is insane right now.
Now, it doesn't even matter at this point. They didn't quite get the spawn he was looking for. He's got lots of stack, and is he going to check the angle? Let's see if he does. Keeping his eye out. Nah, I'd leave it for now.
Oh.
vengeurR's definitely the kind of player you would expect to look for totem angles. That would normally just be the fact that maybe he just doesn't really value getting rid of it yet. Yeah.
I definitely hope he starts going after those soon, because we saw what happened earlier during an earlier match of the day, how important those totems can be. And there we go, vengeurR just really starting to string along the frags. But yeah, we saw earlier Kron winning Ruins of Sarnet with the totems alone, essentially. So you gotta be careful.
1 HP. That would have been probably one of the rudest surprise frags, and fresh off the spawn.
Yeah.
So part of me thinks that was always going to become a 5-1, wasn't it? The second he's on 5-1 on a map like this, 1 HP, I mean, surely vengeurR would have picked it back up. And then another rocket. I dare say that Coollerz, even though he survived that fight, I do kind of fear that maybe his movement's being a little bit predictable in these fights. Normally, Coollerz is so good at actually dodging rockets. In some ways, he'll just hold an angle and never move, expecting you to flick, but on this map so far, he's having a pretty hard time getting around the splash damage.
And that was a lot of free damage for vengeurR right there. Coollerz just kept trying to hit the bottom wall, hoping for that spillover effect on the explosion, but vengeurR kept just out of reach for that to happen, and so he managed to do a decent amount of damage to Coollerz with really not taking any himself. And right now, vengeurR will be making a move on Mega, and instantly, is he going to make a move for Heavy as well?
It looks like it, but the thing is, Coollerz, the overstack, thanks to the 3 totems being up and running. You mentioned at the very start, you're a bit fearful that if these 3 totems come up and running, then it's going to give Coollerz just a huge edge, and he's going to get an initial rail.
Oof. I clinched right there because I was really afraid that he would jump again and just fly off the map. Very, very common to happen on that particular angle. We see quite often. Luckily for vengeurR, though, he manages to stay in the map. Nice rail from Coollerz.
Also impactful to show that he had the vengeurR's number in that respect. He found him, and vengeurR had no idea that he was being stalked. vengeurR's going to fall again, and the overstack coming back because he didn't take out those totems.
Yeah.
And now he's got to really worry about it.
vengeurR, you gotta go after those things. You really can't leave them up that long. And I think that that one to the right of Coollerz right now, how long has that been up? I feel like it's been up for almost the entire map. And vengeurR just really not doing anything about it at all.
Well, the sneaky one by near rail. vengeurR hasn't looked at it at all yet. I'm actually starting to wonder if he knows it's there, because I feel like by now, surely he would have taken it out.
Yeah.
And it is, granted, in a deceiving location. Awoken, very famous for those cheeky totem locations. Another fight. Coollerz maintaining his stack. And I really feel like what's happening here is these fights are coming through, and surely vengeurR, he has to understand now that there is a serious totem. And yeah, he's running off to take it out. Because with every time Coollerz retreating and he's got an absolute maximum stack, that is giving you more than enough notice to know that the totems are up. You know, we have to look for them.
Coollerz knows that vengeurR is still so weak, and he's gonna finish it off. Surely this is gonna be a frag.
Sneeze on him. At you. Oh, he ran out! If he died there because he ran out, that would have been quite a tilting way to die for sure.
vengeurR doing so much damage in return, actually, and Coollerz just like, oh, totem's still there. It's been there for pretty much the entire map. vengeurR isn't looking for it at all. Nice rocket to 1, 2, 3. Oh, 22 damage would have done the trick. And at this point, vengeurR still in the lead. But Coollerz is definitely making a comeback happen. Remember, it was 5-1 a little bit ago. And right now we're up to 5-4.
Totems were a massive contributing factor, to be fair, of which vengeurR is finally decided that he needs to do something about it, because it's clearly allowing Coollerz to be more healthy than he should be when these fights break. I mean, look at his stack right now.
Yeah.
And that was just with 2 totems.
Heavy will be the next major item to spawn. This could be good for vengeurR though. Yep, the double jump. Coollerz has absolutely no clue where the doom is at. And vengeurR brings the pain, rains the rockets from above. And Coollerz goes down once again, 6-4. vengeurR basically stopping Coollerz's comeback dead in its tracks.
Whoop.
A little bit of a fumble.
But as long as he has the lead, I guess he won't really mind too much. However, put him in a weird position. You know, he can sort of try and get an angle on the Mega at least. And there's a rocket. Cheeky little combo with the rail to boot. Yeah, there's that information. Just that light armor making too much noise for him to be happy with. Going up the jump pad with the LG, but Coollerz knowing he has a really impressive stack. That rocket almost hit its mark, but because it didn't, Coollerz should be pretty free to chase this one down. Watch out for the angle. He gets away, but I feel like he's still in danger here.
Yeah. Sure is. Rockets need to be so good, or
Watch
he
out!
just needs to keep running away. The totem! And luckily for him, he had the stack to mitigate the damage coming through.
Watch out, 2.0.
There's another one. There's another one.
Watch
and
out!
He walks in it again!
Well, at least I think all the totems are gone.
Yeah,
He's short on rockets now. Oh, no. Those totems, they've actually, I think, been a bit more of a thorn in the side than one would think.
Yeah,
This one.
there's one up around the corner, back at Banana once more. vengeurR is gonna steer clear from that for the time being, though. Mega up in just a few seconds, and Coollerz got positioning. Nice little bit of tribal damage.
I like the
Perfect
angle,
range
actually.
to use it, yeah.
Yeah, nice angle too.
Oh, good read from vengeurR. Had the perfect idea of where his opponent was going to be, but missing the shot.
But fundamentally, vengeurR, it may look like he's constantly sort of running away from Coollerz right now, but he's been able to bide his time. Coollerz
7
has the armor,
points of
but
health.
yeah, at what cost? He has to focus quite heavily, and that's even with the passive aside, it's going to take him a bit of time to restack back up. No totals to be had here, but ooh, what a rocket! Good
Coollerz.
rocket for damage. vengeurR being able to fight his way away from Mega though.
Coollerz somehow with 20 points of health was just like, let me hit you with 50, another 50, and let me just keep taking your stack down and down and down up until we're basically equal. And here we go, we're gonna see an LG fight. Are these players going to commit till the end? No, vengeurR realizes not the right time for him just yet. He is gonna break away. Coollerz looking to chase, but of course, Galena, as we discussed earlier, not a champion with a lot of mobility, so he can't quite catch the Italian, but there we go. I spoke too soon, the rail on the bounce pad. He's not gonna miss a shot like that.
Well, yeah, actually have to look at what he's going to get from this too. Coollerz has a really impressive stack. He's going to have time now too, catching him double jumping, and we know that Doomslayer doesn't like the LG for that exact reason. You know, double jump, it's so good for maneuverability, but if you get caught in a bad spot while you're double jumping, that LG will just catch you guaranteed.
I felt that one in my soul the moment he double jumped, but oh wow, vengeurR taking the fight, getting a good read on it, out-aiming his opponent, and there we go, 7-7, a minute and a half left on the clock.
He only had LG there too. That was, by all accounts, his only weapon, so it was good that he ran in when he could and caught Cooler in a really funny position, actually, but now it's going to be deadlocked even so far. We have just over 1 minute left of this map. Kind of hard to count this one, but vengeurR sitting on a good stack. He's got more than enough weapons to get the job done, looking for one of those entry rails, but Cooler, he's not going to make that job easy. There's a lot of work left to do on both sides. Here comes the fight. It's been forced away. vengeurR had the superior timing and the better positioning. That might have been the beginning of the end here for Cooler. And that rail's going to make things so much harder for him.
Yeah, Cooler now needs to spend a bit of time stacking back up. He's losing out on a lot of seconds. And look at that rocket! What a good read from vengeurR, expecting Cooler to be down there waiting at that little hole in the wall. And he places a perfect rocket there as well. 30 seconds left. Cooler outstacked, outgunned. He's got to make up something right now.
Hard to catch vengeurR. With 25 seconds left to go, and he has a much bigger stack than you. He's got more than enough ammo. He's got all the weapons to get the job done. And the longer it takes Cooler to even find vengeurR, things become a lot more difficult. He has the heavy, and he has no choice. He has to try and rocket jump his way in. Not impossible just yet, but the rocket to put the final nail in the coffin. That was a nail-biting fight. Very easily could have gone in Cooler's favor.
Absolutely. All things considered, that went really well. Rocket jumping up against vengeurR, waiting above you with a lightning gun, and it still ended up coming down to Vang hitting a direct to close out the frag and the game. Whew. That was,
But I think that's why confidence matters.
Yeah.
Because at no point did vengeurR kind of look nervous, like visibly nervous in his gameplay at all. But I mean, yeah, nice close map number 1. I think that's kind of what we can expect. Regardless of outcome, these maps were never going to be one-sided.
Oh, no.
You know, but that was just a nice back and forth here. vengeurR had a dominating lead at the very beginning. Clearly the totem stacks made a big difference about, halfway through where Cooler started to re-establish some dominance. But the moment vengeurR realized, right, look, these totems are clearly causing me a spot of bother, they really started to matter less and less. There was very little overstacking to be had. And how many of those fights came down to like 1 HP either way? It was insane.
They were so close. We also saw a few fights where Cooler dropped down the totem, but he died before the healing effect could kick in, because there's always a little bit of a delay before that healing actually comes out. And Cooler, very, very close fights. Look at that. That was an interesting fight, because vengeurR just utilizing that double jump to perfection, and Cooler just really had no clue where he was at.
There are a couple of moments where Cooler actually had the better of vengeurR in that respect. Like right there, you catch Doomslayer mid double jump, and you've got an LG with plenty of cells. I mean, name a more iconic duo, right? That's just what it does for him. But that final moment, that final fight, I was half expecting him to go sudden death, genuinely, right here.
Because vengeurR missing essentially 3 rockets. He had only 1 of those, and that was like for 30-40 points of health. The other ones were complete misses, whereas Cooler was just putting out consistent LG damage and getting closer and closer to him. So that absolutely 1 rocket could have changed everything.
So, I mean, it's one small map into another. It's going to be Corrupted Keep up next. Interesting. Should be Visor and then BJ. Which, it's kind of a Corrupted Keep. Visor kind of seems universally good on almost every map, just for the usefulness that Piercing Sight has. But then you look at someone like BJ, where you probably won't see him in that regard, because he'll go on maps where he really, really matters, and then these small close range maps, just 2 guns, man. That's it. That's it.
Personally, I would give the slight advantage here to the BJ, though, because I think that Visor, of course, as you said, he's good on any map, but the smaller the map, the less useful his ability is, because it becomes easier, one, to keep track of your opponent, and also, the smaller the map, the more likely it is that your opponent hears you activating the Piercing Sight, because it emits a sound when you actually activate that ability. So, overall, I would probably say that BJ is the stronger pick out of the 2 on Corrupted Keep.
Yeah, I suppose also the one element is the removal of the rail, and it's it's not that Visor is the rail champion, because in many ways springing a trap with an LG can be just as, if not more effective in some situations. But that one piece of utility of getting almost like a free rail that someone isn't ready for, or you're always half looking out for it, but it's not possible on a map like this. So interested to see how vengeurR is going to use it. Instantly popping the Piercing Sight to get that information. The first fight obviously breaking out in LG room. Coollerz acknowledging fully that the Mega's already been taken. It's not going to be worth the chase.
Yep.
Let's just try and disengage, maybe get that heavy, and then take the fight a little bit later.
Good decision from Coollerz, realizing that he was beaten in the race to Mega and then of course to LG afterwards, and that he didn't want to take a fight at that range against someone with the lightning gun, so he just immediately evacuates the area and makes his way over to Heavy. But right now Coollerz actually still in a pretty bad situation right now, but he manages to do so much damage that vengeurR is just like, you know what? You keep the Mega, you get yourself an LG, I'm just gonna let you go. Using the side defensively so that he can tell what angle his opponent is coming at, and look at that midi!
Oh my god, what a shot, Flea! That was absolutely perfection!
Yeah. And right now, again, Coollerz stuck in a pretty nasty position right there. Doesn't really have a way out. He just has to go through vengeurR. And vengeurR is not just gonna let that happen. He's gonna position himself onto the Mega health. Actually, just gonna try and deny small armor. And I don't know, maybe vengeurR kind of messed up the timing right there, because it looked like he thought he had enough time to go all the way back around, but the rockets are again phenomenal! 3 is all it took for him to extend his lead by another frag.
And that piercing sight, it has been a massive benefit to him. He's now going to get that sort of retreating shot. Cooller's movement's pretty good though. So he's able to take a little bit of that free damage, reduced a little bit because he was just out of range. And
yeah.
Here we go, another fight coming out. These rockets are just looking too sublime right now, Flea.
Absolutely. vengeurR is not necessarily a player that people tend to look at and say, yeah, he's got some of the best rockets in the business, but he's absolutely showing that he's got exactly what it takes on this map as well, and indeed he has been using that piercing sight very effectively. Coollerz, all he has is the shotgun to work with. vengeurR surely is not going to let him get out of here alive, but of course Coollerz has that health regeneration ability, gets up to the 25 threshold over and over, but that won't be enough to deal with a direct.
There was something I just couldn't help but laugh when I saw Coollerz in a situation where maybe he can escape if he just goes for a quick little circle, jumps into a hallway right as vengeurR looks the other way. The moment we saw piercing sight, it's like, oh, just say a prayer, man. There's no way you're getting out of that one alive.
Yeah, vengeurR has been using piercing sight very intelligently. He's been using it sometimes defensively to gather information on whether his opponent is coming from the left or the right, or very often to try and chase them down from the start. But that's an excellent rocket from Coollerz. vengeurR is in a lot of danger, and Coollerz is just going to push on ahead, knowing he's got the stack advantage after those excellent rockets. And there we go, Coollerz on the board. He's even going to do a little bit of self-damage to himself right there, just so he can deny the small armors, both of them even.
And that's actually interesting to see how vengeurR is going to have to react to that. Obviously, his cooldown's in play. Fresh off the spawn, he did use the piercing sight. So during that transition, I'm actually kind of confident he is aware that Coollerz did do that. So where vengeurR is going to retreat to, I mean, it begs the question. He's near light armor now, but he knows it's not going to be around for a little bit.
Yeah. Gonna see another confrontation come up right here. Coollerz just keeps on denying the small armors, and vengeurR's got essentially nothing to work with, and it shows. Coollerz just follows him around the corner with the LG, knows that no matter what Vang throws at him in terms of damage, he can easily take it before he downs his opponent.
vengeurR, he's more than aware that Coollerz is kind of constantly running that circuit, if you will, about the light armors, but he was trying to sort of not allow himself to be bullied off them. I kind of think that's actually what delivered him the death sentence that second time he lost a frag, but
that was a really clever play from Coollerz to go right back up the bounce pad, because you would never expect your opponent to not go for the bubbles, right? You would always think he's gonna drop down because I did damage, he's gonna take the health bubbles so I can maybe do some damage, but Coollerz right back up the bounce pad, trying to take his opponent by surprise. Very, very clever plays, and it's showing because look at the difference in stack. Coollerz looking like an absolute monster, and vengeurR is just clinging on to the two or the few health bubbles he's got available to him.
Well, yeah, normally when someone's down and out, they would retreat down to the, I guess, the regular pickups, wouldn't they? But because Coollerz is doing such a miraculous job at denying every single one, I just feel like vengeurR is playing from behind non-stop.
Yep.
And then when a fight happens, there's not even somewhere he can retreat to be stacked enough to take a fight. Like, look at the stack difference now. You know, he's going to weaken vengeurR. Is there going to be much around for him to collect?
But in Vang's defense, his evasive plays have been absolutely sick, because this is a map where you very often see frags just start to snowball majorly, and one turns into 2, 3, 4, 5 very quickly, but he's been avoiding Coollerz despite having next to no armor on one of the smallest maps in the game, so that's speaking in his favor.
I was about to say Coollerz had felt like he hadn't been forced to use the dual wield for quite a while, decides to use it to try and force him away from Heavy. he's going to be in a position where he can at least take that now, but yeah, more denial comes in play. A little bit of rocket damage, but it's not going to be enough to write home out just yet. Even after this level of control Coollerz has been able to establish, because of that phenomenal start, he's still behind. And that's kind of reminiscent of what we saw last time too. It's just that early lead that vengeurR is able to create, regardless of the comeback that Coollerz is able to put on. I feel like it's... vengeurR is creating a lot of work at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And now here we go again. No need for dual wield. That's just confidence in man's LG right there.
The knockback just pushing him up against the wall in a little tiny corner before the finish. Coollerz looking so good. And yeah, I mean, I feel like Coollerz's item denial has been pretty amazing, because usually you see people maybe do a little bit of self-damage to deny a small armor when they're in full control already. But Coollerz's just doing it non-stop. He doesn't care. He can be behind his opponent and he'll still be like, I'm gonna damage myself with the plasma just so you can't take this at a later time. Very confident plays from the Russian.
But now, dual wield forced again. vengeurR hitting a very respectable rocket. Kind of had the idea that Coollerz was going to try and do the same thing. He's noticing that in and out, he's never seeing the dual wield unless we're by the heavy. So that's going to give vengeurR at least something that resembles like routine. Wonder if Coollerz can be able to use a dual wield at a weird position. Maybe vengeurR's going to be super convinced that he's saving it for that time and that time alone. Uh-oh, piercing sight. Don't need to see that one coming when he's so close. You can take his eyelashes off.
Very, also, again, just a confident play. Oh, shotgun! Does it!
Wow.
Turns the corner face to face with an angry Vang using a shoddy. Yeah, there's very little you can do in a situation like that. Coollerz, is he actually going to go down again? Sure, he will. Vang, again, cementing himself in the first place on this map.
I remember, I'm pretty sure it was Rafa in an interview at a previous LAN. He was talking about Keep, and he had mentioned how some players can, for a split second, underestimate the power of spawning near SSG, even when you're behind. I kind of think that was almost a clear example of it, where, right, he spawned, he's not going to be as much of a threat to me, comes around a corner within point-blank range, and that's like some of the highest damage you can possibly do in the game.
I believe it's 120 damage for a point-blank super shotgun at this point, so that's more than a direct rocket. Pretty solid rocket from vengeurR. He wants to keep Coollerz down, doesn't want to let him get out of that room. Rockets barely just missing him. vengeurR has to retreat though. Coollerz will take the small armor. He's got that little bit of health regeneration working in his favor, and here we go. This is going to result in a death for Coollerz.
vengeurR, it actually ran out of rockets. That temporary moment where he had no rockets left almost got him killed, but thankfully it got in with the SSG and swapped it. I want to say shoutouts to the new voice lines.
I was about to say the exact same thing. You can't hide from me. Visor has picked some English words during the Quake Pro League. That is quite obvious at this point. What's less obvious though is how this game is going to end. vengeurR does have 2 frags in the lead, but Coollerz is hungry for a comeback. But look at how little health he's got to work with. He will take heavy, but surely vengeurR will finish it.
Yes, just needs to get a nice little bit of damage, but Coollerz, I guess this is Keep, and not only Keep, but this is BJ, right? I think his natural passive combined, there are certain rooms in this map where the small bubbles and his passive are just like he can be full health whenever he wants.
Yeah. 1 minute left on the second map of this matchup. Coollerz, if he wants to win the total series, he needs to make something happen, and quickly to vengeurR. Rocket jumps away, 35 points of health left. Coollerz, is he going to chase? Doesn't have much time to really do anything else. There we go, catches him with a little bit of LG damage. Won't be enough to get the frag just yet.
Oh, he's going to tickle the backside as he runs down towards heavy, but again, we always have to factor in just the time factor. And now we are in that position where vengeurR, he doesn't need to be crazy aggressive anymore. That piercing sight's going to allow him to be defensive. Not going to spring a trap of any sort. He just wants to survive as long as possible. Keep anything that resembles some health, keeping it away from Coollerz. Coollerz has a massive stack in comparison to vengeurR now, but has to get away. A bit of a tricky position. Has successfully managed to juke him temporarily, but for how long? I guess at this stage, maybe it doesn't matter. 30 seconds left. Alright, he's caught him, but the direct! Ooh, a little bit of health.
Yeah, Coollerz knows he cannot let his opponent get away in a situation like that. 20 seconds left. Can he find the immediate frag of the spawn? I think he spotted him. Yeah, I think he saw a leg turn the corner just there. Of course, he still knows vengeurR has got that super shotgun. Very good play from vengeurR. He's actually going to... Was that a try? Oh no, it was a rocket jump up right there. Coollerz gets the good read though. A few seconds left. Can he find it? 1 second and it's a trade!
Oh no! The trade at the last minute. well executed there.
Whew.
From vengeurR. So much damage had been distributed that looked like it might have been Coollerz at the very end. And how many of those are we going to see today?
Yeah, I mean, we're not even halfway through the matches of today, and we're starting to see these incredible plays and these such close finishes, just time and time again. But again, vengeurR, as we predicted, is already 2-0 up, winning map 1 and map 2.
But by all accounts, he's having a fight for it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. These aren't one-sided maps at all. It just seems to be a pretty similar case where vengeurR just gets off to a phenomenal start. Cooler mounts a comeback for most of the map, and then it starts to trickle away. And I mean, with frags like that, how can you lose the map?
Oh, yeah. That was frag movie material. Absolutely. Gonna see some highlights right now, see how close it was at certain points. So vengeurR very quickly gets a 3-0. I think it's a 4-0 lead even. Yep, that piercing sight, Coollerz, nowhere
Not
to
even
go
fair,
from there.
to be honest.
Nope. But here we go, look at that, Coollerz managing to get a lot of stack back, and now it's his time to mount some frags, but as we already know, ultimately just not enough to take down the Italian Kid Bellissimo.
Yeah, it just seems to be a common problem that Coollerz, he is recognized without question as one of the best players in the world, but against players that are kind of like within his level. Are we seeing a similar position now where not only is Coollerz seeming to be a bit of a kryptonite, but maybe vengeurR will become so as well?
Yep. And I mean, what we talked about before this map is starting to shape or starting to come into fruition as well. vengeurR beating Coollerz after beating Coollerz twice in a row. So that's essentially both of the top players, aside from him, in the EU and CIS region that he's taken care of already.
Yeah, no matter what happens in this final map, that's going to be, I mean, it's a 2-0 as we speak. So it's going to be at worst a 2-1, which means that vengeurR has officially beat Coollerz today, which has kind of maintained that constant storyline of vengeurR being the player to beat in this part of the world. You know, that's not taking away from Coollerz by any means.
Oh, yeah.
So he is the QuakeCon champion, and he's the player with the biggest target on his back. But vengeurR, you know, with something to prove after QuakeCon, he's looking to be in phenomenal form. And I guess right now, the only player left on his radar is Rafa. That's just the way things have gone.
I mean, that would be amazing to see at QuakeCon, or at QuakeCon, what am I saying, at the upcoming Luca tournament. QuakeCon isn't until the end of the entire Quake Pro League season that we're going to get back into that, but soon enough, just a few more weeks, and we'll start with another LAN where we get to see all players go up against each other once again.
I feel like it's crazy to think that we're already in week 8. I feel like we only just started doing this, and it's already almost finished at stage 1. What's going on? And what is this reality you call time? I don't understand.
Things have been moving quickly.
A million miles an hour, man. Absolutely. And we only have a few more of these weeks left to go. The storyline of vengeurR and Coollerz, though, we have one map left to go to just see whether points matter.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, points, they still mean things.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's going to be an undefeated record for vengeurR continuing. But is the bonus map going to matter, or is vengeurR going to get a 3-0? A 3-0 versus Coollerz would be, I mean, that's going to put a smile on anyone's face.
Oh yeah, after doing it to Coollerz, not once but twice in a row, now being able to do the same to Coollerz, I mean, that's a dream come true, especially for what you said earlier, a player who's been playing Quake from a young age, who's really been wanting to get into the scene, and who's now sticking it to the very best in the entire world.
I can't imagine, honestly, I cannot imagine how it must feel to spend your upbringing watching these players, and now here you are beating them. I mean, it has to feel pretty immaculate, and knowing that the next LAN, the big tournament, is going to be, you know, in your back garden in that respect.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But I mean, we have time until then. But right now, vengeurR with the Nyx, Coollerz with that saw lag. And vengeurR is already trying to deliver the death sentence. Coollerz unable to hit a lot of those close-range shots, ultimately spawning near the rail. Yeah, the rail's high damage, but vengeurR very intelligently being as close-range as possible and hard to hit.
And this is a very interesting matchup for a number of reasons, because first of all, we've actually got a light versus a heavy champion. I think that's the first time we're seeing that today. We've seen lights versus mediums, we've seen mediums versus heavies, but light versus heavy, that's a whole other ballpark altogether, because the stack differences, even if vengeurR manages to get his full stack, mega and heavy, as someone as Nyx, he will still struggle to go up against an even normally stacked Sorlag. And secondly, of course, Sorlag on the toxic map, she doesn't take any damage from walking into the spit, and look at that, vengeurR fakies the getaway and then just dives right back in. Very quick start.
And even before that moment, we saw that cheeky little flick. That flick rail would have been probably the frag of the day, to be honest. Coollerz off the spawn, he's going to have a rocket at the very least, but vengeurR thing about the stack difference you were talking about, every rail counts, every rocket counts. You can't miss these shots, but so many direct rockets have already hit their mark, and vengeurR now having to make a bit of a choice.
Yeah, is he gonna go
Don't
through
fall
it?
Off. Don't fall off. You know, if I try to make that jump, I'd always fall off. I need the full speed. Yeah, there it is.
There we go.
If he fell off there, that would have been hilarious.
Coollerz not around to take advantage of vengeur's low stack, and is instead just going to use the time, the peace and calm that he's gotten from those few moments to actually stack up and get himself heavy, and now make a move onto heavy, or mega rather, as well. Coollerz looking extremely stacked, and vengeurR, even though he's in the lead, he's gotta be careful.
Got a nice amount of information there, Coollerz. Has got that absolutely chunky stack here, but vengeurR not shy of being defensive, just biding his time, waiting for the small armor, of which, there it is. But now, benefit is that he's got the Ghost Walk.
Yep.
So now he's in a position where he can kind of sit tight, get some of that information, act on the fact that he's teleporting, waits for his moment. Now, he heard Coollerz 3 seconds ago, but there was only one moment he was going to get an unchallenged rail, and it was after the teleport went through. And it's patience. I really love this discipline from vengeurR. I feel like discipline's something he kind of lacked last year, and it has simply just grown over time.
Yeah. Definitely not shy to use the Ghost Walk. And oh no, Coollerz coming into the room a little bit too late, vengeurR. I don't think they'll be able to get away. Yeah, but the spit, surely.
Anywhere.
There's one bubble left for him.
But I mean, Coollerz knows he's there. He's still going to know how weak he is, surely.
Yeah, but Coollerz is just going to prioritize items rather than frags and move on to the heavy first, buying himself some more time and maybe looking for a frag on the next cycle. Here we go. He should still know that vengeurR doesn't have Ghost Walk available. Look at that LG!
Oh my Gideon! That was absolutely ridiculous, LG. The refrag happens, but I feel like that's a bonus refrag that shouldn't have even happened in the first place.
Oh no, I mean, Coollerz, his stack was enormous compared to vengeurR, and still he just melted in front of our very eyes. What a play, such aim from the Italian player.
I mean, I guess that's in part the champion size difference, right? Like vengeurR already has great LG, and now you take on the fact that Solag's there, and she's very, very easy to hit, especially if you're a fantastic aimer, like pretty much everyone in QPL is.
Yeah, can't deny that. 2 frags of a lead for vengeurR though, and here we go. Coollerz gonna find him off the bat once again. Damn, vengeurR manages to do so much damage because they end up in these confrontations, and you look at the stack and you're like, Coollerz got this easily. But then in the end, Veng just really makes it still a close fight. That's bad news for Coollerz. Missing the rail, and vengeurR just closes the distance and sticks the LG right in his face.
I mean, how that previous fight went, you pretty much can't count vengeurR out in any capacity.
No.
He's demonstrated to us already that he doesn't really care about the size difference, hence he's actually picked this into this matchup. Watch out for the perforation! Oh, the moment we saw it, it was too late. Absolutely nothing he could do about that one. That's a bonus frag. He's pretty weak though, and Coollerz trying to pick that one back up. He's going to get the mega.
Yeah, aggressive play from Coollerz to follow up on that. And I honestly think that Coollerz is probably one of the best players to have something like that happen to. Because for a lot of them, getting fragged like that, perforated, that's such a tilting experience. But Coollerz, he's just got so much LAN and competition experience. He's such a tremendous veteran that I think he's one of the better ones to not let it get to him.
Now, Coollerz, nice little bit of movement there. Taking the heavy and instantly trying to re-navigate towards Mega. So the control is there. But what vengeurR's showed us right now is he's not entirely... I mean, he doesn't really care about control. There are so many moments where he's kind of content allowing Coollerz to maintain this. Take his damage when he can. Speaking of which, here comes a fight. Coollerz, you do favour him, but he's very, very low on cells. He's out of LG ammo, so he actually can't take an LG fight if he wants to.
Yep. And very good for Coollerz as well. Veng had to use his ability there. Coollerz did too, but of course, Nyx is going to be more reliant on her Ghost Walk than Sorlag is on her Spit ability. And Coollerz, is he going to try and pressure further? Looks like he is giving vengeurR a little bit of breathing room, but no, catches him right up. The railgun, once again, this should definitely be a frag for the Russian, but just in time. I think the hourglass down there helped him get the ability back in the nick of time. Courtesy to you, of course.
You're welcome, mate. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's a good one.
By the way, he did just hear the light armor go, so Coollerz has a bit of a rough idea. Couldn't really pick that one back up, though. And I mean, I have to consistently give props where they're due. vengeurR's survivability on this map has been really impressive, especially against someone like Coollerz, and especially with a champion that has a stack like that. Inevitably, though, You get caught without Ghost Walk, and that's what happens.
Yep.
That's why she's such a high-risk champion to use on a map like this.
Yeah. High risk, but high rewards, and at this point, 6.5 minutes into the game, and a 1 frag lead from vengeurR. Coollerz definitely still very capable of tying things back up and winning the final map in this series. He's gonna build up a little bit of speed, hoping to just completely overrule anything that vengeurR could throw at him and close the distance. But so far, other than getting the 2 major items, he has no clue where his opponent is.
You did just hear something, though.
Here's a pickup.
Entry damage with a rocket, and you can see how pivotal it is. Ghost Walk's been popped, and actually, that Ghost Walk, I think, was popped in such a good way that Coollerz didn't really know it had been used.
Hey, I agree, I don't get any idea. I was a little worried that we would see another perforation if Coollerz had stopped moving, but luckily for him, he kept pushing in a little bit further. And this, just look at the stack difference.
However, and I got it back already, but the re-entry, no way you're surviving that one. And vengeurR's been able to get away with it most of the time, but definitely not then.
That's exactly what we were talking about. Nyx depends so heavily on her ability that if she's out of that Ghost Walk, she's just caught by surprise so easily, and there's very little you can do about it. And now Coollerz really starting to string together the damage. Is he going to actually lose out on Heavy right here? Yup. Makes the wrong decision. Tries to double back onto Mega. And Veng steals Heavy.
Coollerz with the lead, though. This is going to naturally just change the swing of things. It's now vengeurR having to play from behind. He can't kind of sit pretty and try and play defensively. If you have to make something happen, though, and you naturally don't have the stack, but hang on a minute, vengeurR, fresh off the spawn, knows he has what it takes, and that is one of the quicker refrags I've seen, and the LG to melt down as well. The retreating into rail. vengeurR, he knows he still has time to play with, and this win is definitely not guaranteed, but possible.
Just when it seems like Coollerz is going to reverse it and pull away to secure the map, Veng just pulls something like that. And again, just 1 frag difference between these 2 players. Veng definitely still has got it in him to tie things right back up.
Here comes that damage in great capacity, even with the rail. Coollerz is going to fall victim to that. With vengeurR being as weak as he is, watch out for the refrag!
1 HP.
1 HP! Is this even possible? Watch out for the acid, mate! Oh, these rockets. They've been so good, and Coollerz doesn't care. No way. He knew exactly how weak vengeurR was there.
Nothing could have saved the Italian right there, but another spawn frag off the bat with 1 minute to go. This is getting incredibly difficult for vengeurR because he doesn't have much to work with other than the railgun at this point, and Coollerz knows this as well. He knows that he's just got the stack advantage, and he's also got the weapon advantage, and that's so important on a map like Vale.
That spit coming out, and normally vengeurR, even if you wanted to stand on it, too risky now to give your position away, especially when you've only got this much time left. This should, by all accounts, be a map win for Coollerz. 30 seconds left. If vengeurR makes something happen right now, then perhaps, but every second that Coollerz evades is a second that vengeurR won't get back.
Yeah, and with 20 seconds left on the clock, Coollerz is just gonna start running laps around Vale, knowing that he's got the stack, he's got the spit, he's got the escape routes. Not much he still needs to do to secure himself the win on the final map. And with 10 seconds left, I think both of these players are well aware that this one will be going to Coollerz in the end.
Okay, so that's going to be a 2-1 victory for vengeurR, but I think that says a lot. The fact that these maps historically are sort of starting to go 2-1, it means, look, vengeurR is technically maintaining an unstoppable streak in terms of series win. But he's not 3-0ing everyone to get there. The players he's taking out, they are still of his level. He's just inching them out every single time. If he can maintain this presence going into LAN, I mean, who knows what could happen there. But as things stand, it's not guaranteed that he will be unbeatable until the very end. Yeah,
I mean, there's still 2 more weeks left, and if he's going to have to continue facing off against players like Coollerz, like Kilson, like Base, things are, I mean, very realistic that he will at least drop more than 1 map in a series. These opening rockets, so good from vengeurR.
But I mean, even that, that would have been one of the most disgusting frags we've ever seen. You know, just what an absolute display. But thing is, I think that the stack difference really started to add up. Even with these moments here where, like, vengeurR was able to pretty much conquer unconquerable odds. I think that it's a big ask to try and have that every single time a fight breaks out. And as the map started to go down and down, it started to escape vengeurR because he was consistently being caught without Ghost Walk.
Yep.
He was consistently being caught trying to run away. And I guess sometimes when you play Nyx, your luck will run out.
Yeah, and it's very important when you're playing Nyx to hit the right stride. You want to have the Ghost Walk ready just when you need it. And Coollerz successfully disabled that by doing so much damage to vengeurR that he had to use his ability at times where, well, he really just did it to get away, not to get any sort of an advantage, but just to cling to the little bit of life that he had left. And look at this, the turnaround from Coollerz, trying to land a direct rocket, which he did, but it just wasn't enough to go anywhere.
I just love the way Coollerz approached this, like how crazy aggressive he was on vengeurR, especially kind of after that initial few frags went down, that he kind of almost like forced vengeur's hand and forced Ghost Walk to not really be a factor.
Yeah.
And that for me was just, it was just impressive. Normally you kind of just do your thing and kind of play around the get out of jail free card that the Ghost Walk brings and then wait for your next opportunity. Coollerz was forcing the next opportunity every single time. Yeah,
and also especially impressive because essentially Ghost Walk is a pretty good counter to Sorlek, because once you get that spit on you and the damage over time starts ticking up, just using your ability and it's gone. You can completely escape all of the following damage, but still Coollerz coming out on top. Very well played.
Well, there's been quite a few results today. I think it's about time we check out the EU rankings and kind of see how impactful the day's action has been so far. But I mean, we are starting to reach that territory where every match matters. There are some players out there that they've always got to worry, right? And I think garp is one of those players so far.
Kilson, though, still in first place. 2 losses, 5 wins, and there we go, vengeurR 6-0, a score that's only rivaled by Rafa over at the NA side. And we've got Base actually overtaking Coollerz in the 3rd position of the EU CIS rankings.
And, well, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? This is week number 8. Base is looking damn good, but that said, we have got some more weeks to go to see, well, if that's going to maintain the same way. I think without question, we've at least had enough time to realize that Kilson and vengeurR are the 2 strongest players of this side of the pond, but even Toxic. Toxic is looking in much better form than he was before, where at one point, I think everyone was thinking, wow, are we going to have even the threat of a Toxic relegation? That sounds weird to even factor that in, but I kind of think with how the weeks are going, if he just maintains the steady pace he's now on, then, maybe he's not really got much to worry about anymore. As long as he just keeps playing the way he has been recently, which is very, very good indeed.
Yeah. Also worth noting is that not every player you see right here has played the exact same amount of games. Some will have played 6 matches, others will have played 7. So if you look at Coollerz, you might be surprised to see him below Base and at the same scoreline as Toxic so far, but part of that is, of course, due to the fact that Coollerz has played 1 less matchup than those other 2, and that essentially means that he's gotten a 0, whereas the other 2 will have had the ability to gain themselves some points. So it's important to keep that in mind also when you're looking at the likes of Razy and Chron. And then, of course, at the bottom of the scoreboard, Avak, after his performance today, once again out of the danger zone, but only just barely 2 points ahead of Sparty. That's 1 single map.
Well, I do think we have the world rankings as well. Just to give you guys a bit of an update, kind of see where we're sitting. Doesn't look super crazy different, to be honest. It's going to ultimately come down to that 10th and final week where we're going to really look at every individual match. Because we're talking about how pivotal some of these matches are, and, make no mistake, they're important. But with just how unpredictable the points distribution can be up until that final week, anything's possible. And no one's going to have to worry until the 10th week happens, which to me is going to be the juiciest week by far.
And if we look at the first 2 places, you can see if Kilson had won 3-0 today, he would have overtaken Rafa for the #1 spot in the world. But unfortunately for him, he did lose out on 1 map, so he's still trailing in 2nd. But this is a very interesting chart.
It is indeed, and it's just a nice demonstration of just how things are progressing here in the Quake Pro League. But if it wasn't immediately obvious enough, that was the final match for EU and CIS. But that does mean only 1/2 of Quake Pro League tonight has finished. Up next, we have the Americas. So strap yourselves in for another half of Quake action tonight. Thanks for sticking with us so far. This is Quake Pro League, and we'll see you after a short break.